There are no single women. Every chick that you're dealing with is generally talking with or maybe even being intimate with other dudes.
Interesting set of stats. 86% of women say that they want a man to make the first move.
Yep.
50% of men are scared of making the first move for being seen as creepy. And 20% of Gen Z say that a man approaching a woman in person always or usually constitutes harassment. So you have a very difficult circle to square here. You have women who still want to be approached. You have men who know that if they don't approach, nothing's going to happen.
Yep.
But if they do approach, they're scared of being seen as creepy. They're concerned that they're going to either upset this girl or that they're going to be part of some Me Too scandal. And then you have a societal pressure. Lots of men are checking out of the world. We need to ask not just why aren't men opening up about this, what can they do to fix themselves, but structurally, how can we actually help men?
And I think that a huge thing is that so many of these systems are against men, whether we're talking about, family court, divorce court, now with affirmative action, applying for jobs where a company would be much happier giving the job to a woman because then they get to say, oh, we hired a woman for this role. It's like
Saves
structurally.
the lady in the taller seat.
Exactly.
Women think that if I do it more for him, listen, like that if I pick up his kids, if I give him as much sex as he wants, if I turn him out, if I show him I'm that ride or die chick, I'm that chick, right? Then the more I do, they think that I'm going to get his affection. But that ain't how men operate. And y'all can tell me this, watch this. A man doesn't commit to the woman for what she does for him. He commits to her based on who she is to him. Now watch this. If I look at that same woman and I look at a woman who nurtures me, empowers me, helps me to grow, supports me, all of a sudden, the way I look at her brand becomes different. So I put her in a different category.
Many men feel disillusioned and disconnected in today's dating scene. They see a lack of deep ties and think that modern women's ideals about families and relationships are inadequate. There are many horror stories which perpetuate the idea that males get little out of the dating environment other than physical and material fulfillment. Men are choosing not to engage more and more because they see no reason to. They have come across ladies who publicly voice their discontent, make unpleasant comparisons, and display shameless adultery. Men's confidence and self-worth have been damaged by such encounters, leading many of them to give up on dating completely. When males decide not to voice their complaints and leave quietly, a big change happens. For other women, this departure serves as a wake-up call, causing them to reflect and work to mend connections with those who are still in place. A ray of optimism appears despite the general disenchantment when men and women reevaluate their expectations and roles in contemporary dating.
My mother told me, she said, you never hit a man where he's weak. Never. It could be true, it could be real, but you don't hit him where he's weak because it'll turn around on you. You can get him to do what you need him to do, but you never hit a man where he's weak because they never forget it. It lives with them. You know what his weaknesses are? He don't know I know that. Because I don't mention it, don't talk about them.
The manner that modern women reject males, it is a sport for them, is the first reason that men have vanished forever. Now, this is not because any of these men are poor or ordinary men. Rather, it is because they are not making six figures and are not as tall as NBA stars. The days when women turned down men because they were reckless and might not be the greatest choice for her, and the kids are long gone. Instead, decent men are turned down by women because their annual salary is less than $500,000. Today's women prefer wealthy guys who do not appear to be interested in them.
To be honest, I'd rather just be a little lonelier than deal with all the hassle of dating. I'm really not in a place emotionally and financially where I can deal with sorting through a bunch of misses to find a missus. Nowadays with dating apps, there's always something new and more exciting just around the corner. So many women I've dated have abruptly broken things off because they found something more exciting. Dating is like taking on a part-time job. I don't have the time or the energy I'm sure all of you can relate to that. Social media, Hollywood, and porn have really altered the expectations of the general public across the board when looking for a mate. It's actually really messed up psychologically when a person thinks about it. Specifically, unrealistic expectations are held by people who conveniently hold themselves to extremely low standards but feel entitled to the best. More specifically, unrealistic expectations are held by people who act like victims when they're confronted with equally high expectations.
If contemporary women had the opportunity, they would reject their fathers and take the role of their mothers. Men who attempt to engage with them by just asking for a name or even a phone number are met with scorn and rejection. The men that modern women consider average are the ones who become entangled in this mess the most. They react disrespectfully every time a man who is not their type approaches them. What irritates me is that these women who turn down guys are the best representations of women. They are merely the result of Hoflerton.
When two people break up and a woman comes to me and says, 2 weeks later, he came back and he said he'll never, he wants me back and whatever, and he's not going to hurt me again. I always say, an important question to ask is, why would it be different this time? Not from an emotion, not from a charged place, but a real curiosity. I get that you're telling me.
Yeah, has that person even thought about that part?
Right, 2 weeks later, which is a suspect time anyway, right? Because this is you're very much in the panic stage of, I'll say anything to get you back right now.
Yeah.
That's not considered, but fine, this is where we are. We're 2 weeks out from our breakup. You're telling me you want me back and you'll never hurt me again. I get you want me back, but what is it that's different this time? That's what I need to understand to feel safe to go down this road with you again.
It becomes difficult for guys to see a future with these women in such situations. They struggle with the idea of giving their all to someone who is careless, lazy, and indifferent to their needs. The idea of having children in such a setting or thinking about the advantages of getting married to someone like that is even more unsettling. Men reconsider whether dating and marriage are worthwhile as a result of these factors. They wonder the kind of life they'd have with a spouse who embodies these qualities and debate whether it's worth the investment. They are disappointed to find a partner who falls short of even the most basic standards of preparing healthful meals and fostering meaningful intimacy, a facade of feminism that covers much deeper problems. In the end, these insights and experiences drive men away from the dating environment in search of real connection, reciprocity, and authenticity, a change from the transactional relationships they have come across.
Every womanizer, every player, every guy juggling 3 broads at the same time is only doing so out of fear. Fear of being crushed by a woman. Because one day, back in the day, they weren't a player. They liked one girl. Just one.
And they gave it up to her, didn't
they? And
they
gave it up to her. That's right. They gave it up to her because they're little romantics back then. And they gave it up to the girl they love. And what happened? They got rocked, or they got crushed, or they got destroyed, they got cheated on, or laughed at, or something. And when they're finished picking up the little pieces of what was once their heart, you know what they said? Every single one of them made a vow.
Never to give it up again.
That's right, never to give it up again. But now we're talking about the real bastards here, the guys that break hearts occupationally. Because believe it or not, originally those cats were the most beautiful and the most romantic of all. And you know what happened? They're the ones that got hurt worst of all.
This concludes our A4 Anonymous coverage for the day. Click that like button, please. Make sure you hit that notification bell in addition to subscribing. Leave a comment telling us what you think. Have a great day tomorrow.